Hello, Graham. Good to meet
Good.
you, and thanks for coming online today.
No problem at all. Thank you.
Would you like to start off by telling us a bit about yourself and about your business, please?
Sure. I started the business probably about 15 years ago. Prior to this, I'd been in some senior roles in different organizations and industries. And the main thing I used to always do when I worked in those businesses was sort the people out first. My theory was you've got to get your people right first. Doesn't matter how good your product or service is, if you've got the wrong people, it's not going to work. So get the people right first and then develop from there. And that's how really I got into the recruitment side of it, enjoying that, and then developing those people. And when the time came to sort of look for something new, I thought recruitment, why not? I enjoy that. And I've seen some good results from it. So started my own business that way. Initially, I tried to get a job in recruitment, but wasn't able to. Going back 15 years, 99% of people in recruitment were young females. It's changed a bit now, but at that time, they were young females, which I'm neither. So in the end, I thought, well, in that case, I'll start my own. And here we are now then. And started in Melbourne originally, then moved into Sydney, Brisbane, Perth. About 3 years ago, I opened up an office in Shepparton as well. When all the lockdowns were happening because regional was open. So that's how we got started, and that's how we now operate.
That's unusual looking at a regional area like Shepparton. Tell me why you chose Shepparton.
Because I'm based in Melbourne, Shepparton seemed to be like not too far away. Mm-hmm. And at the time of lockdowns, regional Victoria was still open. It could still function. You could still get around. Business was still happening. And Melbourne itself was locked down that often and that frequently. It was killing business. So I thought, well, I need to sort of think outside the square. How do I keep the business going? And regional Victoria became an option because it was easier to commute there. In the end, I ended up staying there for a couple of years myself because once I moved up there to open the office, I actually couldn't get back to Melbourne because of lockdown. So in the end, I ended up staying there and built quite a good clientele up in Shepparton, and that really worked well for me.
Fantastic. Tell me about what would be your ideal client?
Ideal client, well, in some strange kind of way, it's a client who has a lot of high staff turnover. That's not always good for them, obviously. Ideal clients, look, realistically, anyone's my ideal client. Anybody who's looking to recruit staff, that's what I do. So I really don't have any definitive, this is my ideal client. It can be any company who's looking to recruit, from a company employs 5 people, a company employs 1,000 people. It doesn't matter to me. We are a generalist, so we do everything and anything. And I've filled in the past roles from CEOs down to dog groomers. So I've done everything across all industries as well. I know some of my competitors, they're quite specific on one industry only. I decided, no, not to go down that path, be a generalist. And I'm pleased I did, because as lockdowns happened, some industries really struggled. But by being a generalist, we were able to keep going because some of the industries we worked in still kept working.
What's the biggest challenge you're facing in the business right now?
Finding candidates. That's the biggest challenge. So I've run this 15 years now, and I've never known it this difficult to find candidates. Right. It's as challenging as it's ever been. The reverse side of that is some of my clients are also struggling to find candidates. So we're actually getting more work now than we had pre-COVID because they can't find people. So in some respect, the candidate shortage market is actually helping my business because more companies are coming to us to help them find people.
Graham, apart from our locked borders and the effect that's had and the flow on there, why do you think there's a shortage in recruitment at the moment?
There are a number of reasons for it, which probably would take longer than this time frame we've got. Certainly the borders was a big issue. Not just domestically, but international as well. A lot of people, we stopped coming students, skilled visas, we just killed it all. And it's almost as though when we opened the borders again, people just thought all these people have been waiting at the airports to come. No, they weren't. They went elsewhere. Yeah. Simple as that. They went elsewhere because they could. So we were the last ones to really open up our borders, and that impacted dramatically. It really did. I think also because of all the lockdowns, there's still even now people are like, I've got a job, may not like it, but I've got a job. So I still think there's a bit of mentality of people being a bit reluctant to move around. Right. So they really are. And the problem with that is if we do try and find somebody who's currently got a job, the pay they're expecting now, they've increased that dramatically because there's a candidate shortage. So people are expecting higher money, and not every employer can or is prepared to pay some of the salaries people are asking. So it's a combination of lots of things, but certainly the lockdowns was the catalyst. And then there are many, many consequences from that. And if I think back to previous disasters like SAP and GFC, all those sort of things, it tended to be whatever time frame we were in that disaster for, it took that long to recover again. So GFC was a 12-month crisis. It took a further 12 months to fix. COVID really was 2.5 years of lockdowns, 2.5 years. So from when we decided to open up again, I see another 2 years on top of that until we get back to some sense of normality. So the fact we really opened up sort of mid last year, early last year, I see at least another 12 months of still these challenges.
Right. So you think the predicted great migration hasn't happened from work?
It certainly hasn't happened, no. And you read about this, different things all the time, the big job change, people looking for jobs, maybe in America, but not in Australia. We're a very different market over here. And I think part of the challenges we have compared to other countries, just a simple one, is we're huge. We're the size of the USA, but we've got 20 million people compared to their 360 million people. They can move from one job to the next because it's the next suburb. We are really restricted. You're Melbourne, Sydney, you're a 10-hour drive away. It's not that easy for people to jump from one job to another because we are so spread out compared to other countries. So we don't see that big massive movement of people changing jobs at this stage because location.
Graham, what's your biggest learning you've had since you've been a business owner?
It's not easy. Anyway, look, you talk to a lot of people, say, oh, you got your own business, that must be great. It's bloody hard work, I'll be honest with you. It's long hours, and being your own business, there is no such thing as 9 to 5. Sure. I work stupidly crazy hours, and the kind of business I'm in, it's the kind of job where there's always something to do. There's always databases to go through, candidates to try and source, updating bits and pieces. Some job businesses, you can close your door at 5 o'clock. In recruitment, you can't. There's always something to do. So you really got to make sure that you're trying to find that balance, that work-life balance, as they call it. I'm not sure anyone really does find that, to be honest with you. But certainly the biggest learning curve is that you've got to put in. You've really got to put in. If you think it'll just happen overnight, it doesn't. You've got to really put the hard yards in, and you do get the rewards eventually. But it's not easy, and you've got to be really disciplined and committed to it. You can't really start your own business. Look, some side hustles work well, and some people find a product which is unique, make $1 billion overnight. But generally speaking, the rest of us, you've got to put it in. And you really need to spend 2-3 years just establishing yourself before you can even really contemplate, now I need to make some money.
What have been some of the biggest issues you've had to overcome on your journey in business?
Look, a lot of them, I would say a lot of them, certainly COVID was a big issue. That was a huge issue for us, obviously. Look, we're very different to the government subsidized recruitment services because they're paid by the government. So they really get money for nothing, for want of a better expression. Whereas the private companies like ourselves, we get paid by employers. So if employers aren't recruiting, we don't make money. So COVID was a real problem and certainly impacted a lot of companies. A lot of my competitors, they just folded, which is, in some respect is good for me. I found out positives from these things. In every disaster, there's winners and losers. Well, we probably won out of this one, so that's fortunate. But I think the big challenges I've had when you run your own business, as much as you try and disconnect your personal life from your professional life, you really can't. And so when things go wrong in your personal life, it can really drastically impact your professional life as well. And a classic example right now I'll give you is my father is in the UK and he's quite ill at the moment. So I'm trying to deal with that and manage that from 12,000 miles away. It's not easy and it's quite stressful, and that impacts your business. So other things like that. So I think that's the real challenge when your personal life does unfortunately impact your professional life. And as much as we say we split them, you can't.
Yeah. Graham, what have you learned about yourself during your journey?
I'm good at what I do. I'm good at that. I believed I was, but I'll be honest with you, not being too egotistical, I now know that I'm good at what I do. So that's really been the big thing I've learned about myself. I think I've learned also, if I put my mind to something, I really can do it. And again, these are beliefs I had prior to starting the business, but the businesses just reinforce these things. I think I've got far more stamina than I probably realized, and you can't tell from the video, but I'm a little bit chunky. But stamina-wise, fitness-wise, very, very good. And you can really push through things. So I think I've learned that about myself, that there really is no, I've had enough for today. You just keep working through things.
How do you find your inspiration each day with what you do?
It's a really rewarding job. I don't mean that financially. I mean, if I get somebody a job, it happened last night, somebody rang me last night because they've been offered a job, and the emotion they had, I'm having an impact on people's lives. And that is so rewarding, that I'm actually having an impact on their lives, making a difference in people's lives. I think people don't see recruitment as that, but it is. I'm actually impacting people's lives, not just individuals getting the job, but employers, because they've now got a person who can actually help in their business as well. So the reward comes quite from the emotional side of it, that I really am impacting individuals and helping companies as well. Yes, I make financial out of it as well, but I think the reward is much bigger than just that. If I just wanted finance, I go and get a job working for somebody else. So there's more to it than that.
What would you say to someone thinking of going into business?
Into business? Do your research first. Do your research, know your market, and know what your USP, what is your unique selling point. You've got to have one. Now, when I first started this business back all those years ago, in Melbourne alone, there were about 800 recruitment agencies at that time. And everyone said there is no room for one more. But if you've got a unique selling point, you've got a unique way of doing something, there's always room. And if there's only 800, one drops off the bottom, you slot in somewhere. So you can't just do what everybody else is doing. You've got to find a unique way of doing your business yourself and really make it yours. That's what I would tell people. Do your research, know your market, but have a uniqueness about you and your business that sets you apart from everybody else.
Right. Thank you. Excellent. Great advice. Thank you. So what's the best advice you give to your 18-year-old self?
Marry a rich woman.
Sorry?
Marry a rich woman.
Okay, good point.
Look, the advice I'd probably give to my 18-year-old self is believe in yourself much more than you probably did at 18 years old, and go for it then. Don't wait. If you've really got an idea and are passionate about something, go for it, because you regret it later on in life. I mean, recently, as a sort of left field, I started playing lawn bowls about 3 or 4 years ago. I absolutely love it. Love it to death, and wish I'd started it 30 years ago, because I really, really thoroughly enjoy it. I think to myself, how much pleasure did I miss out on by only thinking about playing it rather than doing it? And I think it's the same in business. If you've got an idea or a passion or anything at all, just go for it. What can you lose?
Good on you. What does the future look like? What do you see as the main challenges moving forward for the industry and for you personally and your business?
The main challenges working forward, I think part of the big challenge I see a lot of the industry having is, unfortunately, technology. We all talk about AI and this ChatGPT and all that kind of thing. I think sometimes just because technology exists, it doesn't always help. And a lot of my competitors, they are relying on technology, I think, to do their job for them. I don't. And I think that's where some of my competitors will struggle. And the example I'll give, sometimes my competitors, the way it works is that if people apply for a job and it goes into their database straight away, no one sees the resume. And they're relying on their technology to spit that resume out the other end and say, yes, there's keywords in it that match, so I'll talk to this person. We don't do that. Basically, we look at every resume individually and then think, what jobs I got for this person, not what I applied for necessarily, but what else have I got? So I think it's about making sure you don't lose that personal touch. I think a lot of companies will lose that personal touch if they rely too much on technology. It's there to help us, not do the job for us. And I think that's the real challenge. So I think in my industry, technology can be a real hindrance a little bit. It can make people lazy. So I think really you need to make sure that you don't over rely on technology. The challenges realistically in the recruitment industry, I don't see too many challenges if you're a generalist, which we are. Industries come and industries go. Technology is a boom industry, etc. Some industries will fall by the wayside. So if you try and be too specific on one industry or one sector, you could be in trouble. You've got to diversify. You've got to have more strings to your bow than just one. And that's where I think some companies fall down, because they've just got that one element only. We're a generalist, so we've stayed that way. And I've been told by many people, you need to specialize on one thing. And my answer is, I do, recruitment. That's what I specialize in. I don't need to specialize in engineering or manufacturing or real estate. We're across the board. And I think that helps us really be cushioned from some of the challenges out there.
Graham, thanks. That's been excellent. Thank you. Some really good insight there too. Really appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.